1 year later, we continue to share those stories of survivors of Helene's impacts. One thing that's less discussed is the actual recovery of the land. Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich and other experts, they spoke on a panel at Grandfather Mountain about the environment that's rebounding. Here's a conversation he had about the area's resilience.
What are some of the biggest flows that you've seen from Helene?
Well, the largest ones in terms of volume and the number of debris flow landslides that came together was certainly at Craigtown near Fairview in Buncombe County. That particular event probably stands alone in the storm. Now, that being said, the debris flow along Highway 80 on Buck Creek in McDowell County was similar in its size, but it started from two prongs instead of 12 or 13.
Gotcha.
Around Mount Mitchell, some of the debris flows were 2 or even almost 3 miles long.
Wow.
But that's because the mountains are taller there, and fortunately they didn't impact any people.
A lot of people are always concerned about the animals, right?
Of course.
Sometimes more than people in some cases. What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions, like the animals that were most affected but really weren't? Like people thought, like, oh, the bear, the deer, whatever I thought was going to be impacted, but they really did okay.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because animals can be so adaptable.
Yeah.
So my favorite story is Carolina northern flying squirrel. It's a federally listed species, and they live in trees.
Yeah.
And the trees blew over.
Yeah.
So the flying squirrels go under the root balls of the trees and live underground for the winter. So that's the kind of like resilience and adaptability that some of these species can have.
That is amazing.
Yeah, and a lot of hellbender populations hear, which were really hugely hit, they're finding that a lot of the adult hellbenders actually made it, and they're guesstimating maybe 70% of adults made it through. So that's not to say it didn't impact juveniles, it didn't impact habitat, but we know at least now we have a chance, right, to restore those streams and those species.
Overall, our panel discussion focused on the resiliency and where we're going to go forward from Helene. The one thing you know about the North Carolina mountains is that the people up here are amazing. They're resilient, they work together, and they will recover from Hurricane Helene. This was all part of the panel discussion up here at Grandfather Mountain. For WCNC Charlotte, I'm Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich up in Avery County.